You look great. Are you using minoxidil and finasteride? Here in Greece, the transplant doctors give you those two medicines. Yes, I am, and this is why it is essential to use at least minoxidil and finasteride even after a hair transplant. So first of all, welcome to another episode of I Need a Haircut. I'm going back to Turkey to get my second transplant in 6 days exactly. And I could really use a fade, but I let the sides and the back grow out because I want them to do a really good evaluation of my donor area right when I'm in the clinic, so the hair is kind of longer. It's easier to tell how thick these hairs are and which hairs are best suitable to be put on the top of my head. Anyway, yes, I use a topical form of finasteride and a foam version of minoxidil. These are essential, and here's why. Even though I was very far gone by the time I got the transplant, I had already been using finasteride and minoxidil for an entire year and got a lot of hair back. I used to be fully bald when I started this account, and then through a year of using these type of medications to keep you from further balding and help regrow hair, I was able to get a lot of hair back. But of course, in certain areas of my scalp, it was completely gone. Once that follicle fully falls out of your head, it can only come back with a transplant. Medication cannot bring it back. But when you are balding, you will have spots in your head that aren't growing hair anymore, but the follicle is still there. It is just so weak. It's what they call in a dormant state. It doesn't grow hair anymore. It's about to die, and if you don't do anything about it, it's going to fall out soon. But finasteride and minoxidil can bring that back to life and help grow new hair, and that's exactly what it did for me. And even though it's not an unbelievable amount of hair, and it still doesn't grow very strong and very thick, over time, this hair is very essential to the density of your transplant in general because it's more hair on your head, of course. And if you're someone that gets a transplant that's not as far gone as me, which is most people, this whole account is about how far gone I was and how I can bring my hair back from the dead. But if you're smart, you hop on a hair routine right when you start balding, or you get a transplant when you still have a good amount of hair and then continue a hair routine and you have way more native hair than me, and then it's even more essential to be on medication. Let me explain what these two medications do to make them so essential, especially combined. So finasteride keeps the testosterone in your body from converting into DHT, and DHT is what thins the top of your hair, which is also why the transplant hair comes from the back and the sides, because the back and the sides are DHT resistant, so they can never fall out again once they're on the top of your head. So in theory, finasteride basically keeps someone from balding further. If they aren't balding further anymore, these follicles that were about to die are not getting the DHT that was thinning them the whole time, so these follicles can thicken up once again and thrive and be healthy. Minoxidil goes right into the hair follicle and gives these follicles the nutrients that it needs to stimulate blood flow and grow. When you combine these two, in theory, finasteride is keeping you from balding further and minoxidil is growing your hair. So basically what I say is when you're using one of them and you're not using the other, it's like pouring water in a bucket with little holes at the bottom, because there's constantly an underlying issue. You can't use just minoxidil because then you're not attacking the real reason at the root why you're balding in the first place. And you can't be just using finasteride because most likely if you're just using finasteride, you're not going to bald any further, and you might see some good, decent growth on it, but you're not going to grow back these dormant follicles that are so dead. They need the boost that minoxidil gives them. So you need both. And everything else I use is basically just a supportive additive to the minoxidil and finasteride and helps the results work better. Almost like the way a stem cell treatment is to a transplant. It's placed there to make your results better, but the transplant is obviously truly doing the work. People think transplants are a magical fix to hair loss. It's not. The only way you would not need to use medication after a transplant is if you're just fixing a little bit recession on the hairline and all you need to do is that fix, and you don't have any family history of balding further. Like everyone in your family might recede a little bit, but then it plateaus. Then you can fix it and you're probably good. But that's not most people. Most people are going to continue going bald. Even if they do plateau, in a couple of years they'll start up again and it'll get a lot worse. So if you really want to make your money worthwhile, you gotta be on a routine. These are all things that sound like a lot, but really it's about 2 minutes of my day. It's not that crazy. I wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, put on deodorant, take a shower, do my hair routine. When it's time to go to sleep, I'll brush my teeth again, put on more deodorant, do my hair routine, and it takes 2 seconds. And I get questions about side effects sometimes. I used to be on different versions of Finasteride and Minoxidil, and I had side effects with both. Not really like crazy side effects. The Minoxidil I used to use was Rogaine, and it really made me dry out. And the Finasteride I used to use was the pill version from Hims, and that made me feel like weirdly depressed. And personally, if I have side effects from my hair routine, I'm not doing it. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done this whole account if I had side effects. That's not worth it in my opinion. I'd rather go bald. But I found Zion and Growplex, Minoxidil and Finasteride, and I've been using it for 2 years and have 0 side effects. The topical form is a lesser chance of side effects because it's topical. And I just dropped it. And their little patent is chemically designed to slowly absorb throughout the day. So basically, you have a lesser chance of side effects and a more chance of good results. More. You like that word? Very educational here. And the Growplex I use is the same minoxidil that they put in Rogaine or Kirkland or any of those brands, but it also has some other natural ingredients that help counteract that side effect of the drying agent of minoxidil, because it's known to be very drying. It also is a natural DHT blocker, nothing crazy. You need finasteride, it's not gonna block enough DHT. It has 5% biotin in it as well. It's really just, it's like, basically the way I talk about it is Finasteride and Minoxidil has been around for decades, but these are newer brands that have made what's been out better. In order to actually capitalize in a space of hair loss or in a space of any brand, you have to figure out what's out there and figure out what's needed still. You can't just make the same thing. So I'm gonna go with what's better than what's old. The new is usually the good. Just like the same way that the transplant I'm getting is an FUT transplant that leaves basically no scarring anywhere. The old transplant that they used to give was an FUT, where they take a strip of skin from the back of your head and you're left with a long scar. Nothing crazy, but still not even as effective, and you have a scar. FUT is more effective and no scar. And now with the new DHI technique, that is also just as effective as FUT in different ways in terms of density. I'll make a video about that soon. But I know all about this stuff, so just trust it, brother. If you guys have any questions about anything hair routine related, transplant related, check my videos. Everything is posted there. I've talked about everything a million times, and the link in my bio will literally bring you to where you can see everything step by step that I do, all my socials and the transplant website, everything's there. I promise you, I've made sure to keep everything here because I get the same question often and often again. So there it is. Anyway, sorry for the long video. I just wanted to explain this for anyone that didn't know, especially because the video this comment was posted on went kind of viral, and there's a lot of people that are seeing it that have never seen me before. So love you guys so much. We'll talk soon. Transplant in 6 days, baby. Let's go.